Good evening. We are live, and tonight I would like to talk to you about kind of some tech stuff that's been on my mind, and let's just chill, talk about tech. So, I know it's been a little while since I've gone live, and mostly I've moved. And so, through moving and through holidays and through everything that's going on. It's been chaotic, and so I figured I would go live and just kinda let you all know what's been going on, and so personally, I've been dealing with a lot of anxiety and, had a virtual appointment with my doctor to get some medicine for that, and the side effects of that medicine has not been the greatest, so kinda had to move away from that, and so I am back to live streaming, Thursday night, Ike from Ike's Tech Talk, and I will be talking about the Samsung Unpacked event. So make sure you check that out. It's already scheduled. Make sure you turn on the notifications so you're notified for that. That'll be a great conversation. It's always great to have him on. The Apple event we had a few weeks ago, and there's been all sorts of interesting things kind of concluded after that as far as the new Apple products and the new HomePod, and it'll be interesting to see how that does, given it's only $50 less, and there's some downgrades in there as far as it's using an older chip. They've actually dropped the Wi-Fi version down. It has, a couple fewer mics and 2 fewer tweeters, but it does have some of the upgraded things that the HomePod Mini has as far as the ability to tap your device and sync things through. It has those kind of ecosystem things, support for Matter, and that I feel like is a huge deal. Samsung has announced that SmartThings app for iOS has Matter integration now. And if you don't know what Matter is, it's basically a unified protocol for IoT, for Internet of Things, home devices. Uh, you know, your lights, your switches, your security cameras, multitude of devices like that, so that it doesn't really matter which operating system you use, you can integrate well across the devices. So to me, where that is great is you have companies like Eufy, Anchor, Ring, all these different manufacturers that will be able to support the Matter protocol, and it won't matter which operating system you're on, you will be able to connect, you'll be able to use native integration potentially. I know Apple has that with their HomeKit app. Samsung, like I said, with SmartThings, and Google Home app has support for it. And I'm really hoping this makes things better. For example, in order for me to use my cameras, I can use them in the Apple HomeKit app and view them from there. But they're also linked to my Google Home, but I can't view them on the phone app. So you have to ask Google to view them on a particular hub or your TV, forward it that way. But there's no easy way. If I'm out and about, I can't just grab my phone. I have to go into the Eufy app, and then there's some limitations with things. So in the Eufy app, I have full controls of tilting the cameras, moving them, turning motion sensing on and off, things of that nature, even ability to view in 1440p, where within the HomeKit app, it's limited to 1080p. and there's certain things you can't do. You can't adjust the cameras. So hopefully this integration will change that. And it's great to see these companies working with each other because I am a huge proponent that ecosystems should not just be locked into one particular company. And unfortunately, from my experience, the reason that I continue to use an Apple Watch and an iPhone with my MacBook and my iPad and my iMac and all these things is just because of the simplicity of the operating system. So the ability for me to be able to just sign into one Apple account and know that everything works really well. The ability for me to just be able to have that experience be simple, be set up with one sign in. I didn't have to like sign into iMessage, sign into FaceTime, sign into like all these things, right? It's already set up with one sign in. With my Samsung experience, that's been a drastic difference as far as you're signing in with your Google account, or you're signing in with a OneDrive account, or you're signing in with your Samsung account on like the Galaxy Book, and then you have your Microsoft account, and you have all these different ways of accessing it, and it's not simple. And when they announced the first Galaxy Book, I picked up the Galaxy Book Pro 360, the highest spec 13-inch model. And while it's been okay, some of the features they talked about for content creators, I couldn't barely edit 1080p videos in DaVinci, which is what I like to use. I'm not going to pay for Sony's software, which is what others have been able to get it to function well with. And so having to sign into multitude of accounts, and every time you open a separate app, it makes you sign in again versus it'd be really nice if I could just sign into my Samsung account and have everything work and not have to sign into a Microsoft like web account because local accounts they're trying to push people away from. And then as far as like cross storage, they use OneDrive, and so then you have to sign into that account, and then your notes, you're signing in. Just to be able to just sign into one account when you set it up and have it be as simple as your phone, which is one thing in their announcement that was huge was, oh, it's as simple as setting up a smartphone. Not really, because my smartphone, I sign in my Google account and everything, I got access to my email, my um, backups from previous devices where you could sync things across. And so those features for me are a significant difference as far as understanding the ease of use and the quality of life. And so, one of the things, if you've seen my content, I like to say I don't only talk tech, I live it. And I think the significant aspect to that to me is that I really do live it. And so I use this technology in a way to enhance my day to day life, my consumption, my creation, uh, learning, teaching my son. He's 4.5 years old. I homeschool him, and just learning about new topics, DIY, arts and crafts, learning new skills are better when you have more of an efficient process for that. So, for example, right now I'm using my iPhone as my camera, which you can probably tell. I do this and focus, and just being able to do that wirelessly, I have it plugged in so it doesn't drain battery, is really nice. Or, um, messages I can reply from my watch. Those things I feel like a lot of us take for granted, and a lot of us don't really appreciate the idea that technology should work for us and not against us. That people should be able to have the technology move out of their way instead of being intrusive technology. If you think about when you turn on your TV, and back in the old days where you just turned on your TV and you would change between channels, it was so simple. If you had cable, it wasn't really much more difficult. Yeah, they added the guide, and so you could go in and click and be able to view through that. But realistically, it's pretty simple. Now you have all these apps for different channels or different services, and you're going in and out of those services. And if you have a TCL TV with Roku or Android TV or Google TV or whatever, an Apple TV, you're going in and out of them, and it's not as simple as, like, swiping between channels or clicking to the next channel, the previous channel, or pulling up a guide and doing some of that stuff, unless you have YouTube TV or there's, like, Hulu Live. But even then, you have things like, Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, Hulu, Netflix, HBO Max. All the different channels have their own app, and so technology, I feel like, in some ways, has gotten more in the way than out of the way. And so where I'm trying to come into play with what I do and what I try to provide to you all is a discussion on how to improve that and how I'd like to see companies shift to provide a better experience for the user and for all of us. And part of that discussion, I think, leads to the idea that premium smartphones have all these features, and some of them are features that day-to-day users should have access to, and I don't understand why they're kept to the premium, because that doesn't help companies to improve it when the companies are limiting that to the upper end. If they're trying to improve that experience, if they're trying to get developers on board by making it an expensive entry point, how do you improve that technology? I understand some aspects are expensive to create, and so there's an upper cost to that, folding technology and some of that stuff makes it more expensive. But when there's this huge overhead, yes, companies need profit, but it ends up being a downfall to not benefiting the user when we have to either, put it on a month to month or shell out 1,000, 1,200, $15 up front just to get access to maybe a telephoto lens or better video recording that should be available. If they really think that all users should have access to that, it should be made available to the general consumers. And I think that that's one thing that differentiates some companies from each other. When you look at even the idea of um, how iMessage and FaceTime and like the basic like copy and paste between a Mac, an iPhone, an iPad, like and like handoff and sidecar. Some of these features are available even on like older iPads and some of them on lower end iPads where some other companies, you're having to shell out. They don't put like Samsung doesn't put these features in their Tab A series. They limit everything to the Tab S, and the same thing with smartphones. They don't put some of these features in the lower end devices that I feel like could support it, even if it's at a affected lower quality. Like Dex, for example, could really be brought into a lower end device, even if you're limited with the number of apps you can open at a time. And so some of those things really, I feel like kinda hurts the consumer, and, if you're in the chat, let me know what you feel about this. If you're watching this in the replay crew, of course, let me know in the comments down below how you feel about this technology, and if you feel like some of these features should really be brought down to lower end devices. And even things like bringing new features and only bringing them to the newest line. Apple does this, and that's one thing that I kinda struggle with, and it bothers me, where Samsung like Pro Mode and DeX and stuff. When those things came out, they brought it to the newest, but eventually they pushed it to older devices. And even like recording options as far as being able to record certain quality on multiple lenses, sometimes they push those features to the older devices. So if you have an older device, you don't have to upgrade and you get the access and developers get feedback. And for the general public, most of us, we don't upgrade every year, maybe every 2 or 3 years, and so having access to those features are nice, and I don't think that most of us are going to push for, we're not gonna go buy the newest device just because it has a specific feature, unless you're a techie or you get some really good trade-in deal, but even then, uh, you're losing money. You pay $1,000 for a device and you trade it in and you get 800 and you shell out 200. Well, now you've paid $1,200 and yeah, you can say, "Well, I've had 2 devices," but not really. I used to be in the mindset of, like, if you upgrade every time, you and it only costs you 100 or $200 to each year, that is kinda nice. But then when you think about it, realistically, you still only have 1 device and you've paid $1,000 the first time, and then you pay 200, so now you're 1,200 and pay 200 again a couple years later, and so by the 3rd year, you've paid, $1,600 for a device that was $1,000. That's better than, paying year to year, but realistically, Ish 9 says here, the hardware changes in smartphones have reached peak. All that's left is software in order for companies to reach sales goals. True. And I feel like that's where kind of excuse me, my point of direction as far as pushing this to older devices, because the change between like an iPhone 12 to 14, yeah, like battery life improvements are there. And you have larger sensors for better low light performance. And you have some of these features that are brought into newer devices. But realistically, now, if you think about devices in the last 3 or 4 years, if these companies pushed that software to their older lines, it would give them a higher data and a higher baseline of the consumers to understand what features the consumers really use and what features most consumers, if not all of them, don't really use and they can get rid of. Instead of getting rid of the features that they think, "Oh, it's gonna allow us to sell a higher storage product because we get rid of the micro SD card," or, "We're gonna be able to sell adapters because we got rid of the headphone jack," or certain things like that. But then, realistically, you buy 1 adapter and you use that for a while, or you buy 1 set of true wireless earbuds and you use those for a while until the battery dies, and then you buy a new set. And yeah, that makes them tons of money. But what do they really learn about improving the user experience? And I would say they don't learn anything if the data that they're getting and the baseline of information that they're getting is all from a limited perspective of users. It's like, if I want to understand my audience, I need to put out more content and I need to either vary it slightly and then look at which videos do really well and focus more on doing that type of content, and then provide that content because I want to focus to that market, which is kind of what Apple does with the iPhone. Is, they focus on a particular market and they you know, if I were to do that and then, my channel rises up, that's great. But on the other hand, is you can focus on different aspects for different things, and that would be like me creating different channels. Or, and I feel like that's a better way for content creation, and that's a better way for these companies to kind of look at the consumer, is opposed to saying, well, if you want this new feature, you have to upgrade. How about making it worth it in other ways? Um, Making it understandable that every so many, if you have an iPhone 10, you need to upgrade to an iPhone 14 because the hardware is faster, better display, brighter display, bigger camera sensors, but not like you need to go from $1,000 to a 14 or $1,500 phone to get a few extra features that are mainly software locked. We know these devices can handle it, and that's why I feel like services are really the direction that they're going because that's something you can provide to all users. I can watch Apple TV or listen to Apple Music or whatever, no matter what it is. And there is some hardware differences. Like, for example, they sell these for people that want headphones and want better listening experience, maybe than the AirPods or the AirPods Pro. Want to be able to plug in, want the over ear, plug in for low latency or next to no latency for editing videos or um, you can buy adapters and buy um, to be able to plug in, and I can use like my high end in-ear monitors to be able to listen to high quality music. That's let's see, but are these the things that move people to buy? I feel Sony does this great, but still at the bottom of this. No, what moves people to buy is they add things like share play, or they add some new emojis, or they add um, some new camera features, and they hype it up, and the consumer goes to Best Buy and trades it in, or they have an older phone, and that's what. So as long as their numbers are maintained high enough up, then what's going to happen is if they sell 250 million devices in 2018, then in 20 when 21 came along, you're going to have a generally high number of those consumers that have a 3-year-old phone, and maybe um, the performance isn't happening like they wanted, or it's not worth them to pay to get a new battery. They want a better display. They're just going to upgrade because it's 3 or 4 years later, not really because they need anything new, but because some of these things are happening. And so, yeah, logically, these companies have to make better devices, but not really. You know, if I have a car, like for example, we have a 2014 Chevy Impala, and it's got about 150,000 miles on it. If I drive that for another 5 years and it has 250,000 miles at the end of that, in 2028, I'm gonna have to get a new car. But I'm not gonna go out there and necessarily buy anything better than what I already had. Like, if I'm happy with the gas mileage, I'm happy with all this stuff, is there something to drive me to spend more money? Not necessarily. I could go in 2028 and buy a 2020, like a 2020 car, let's say, for example, that would be 8 years old. We got a 8-year-old 2014 car last year. So, realistically, a 2020 vehicle doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be any better than what I had. It's just time for me to get a new vehicle. The engine has miles on it, all these things. Um, the ish says, I have a friend in this position with the OnePlus 7 Pro going into the OnePlus 10 Pro. Yeah. So they stopped software support. The OnePlus 7 series, 7, 7T, 7 Pro, 7T Pro, get their last updates. And now for some people, they don't care. I have a buddy of mine who's got a OnePlus 9. He hasn't really gotten any updates past Android 12. Um, I gave a buddy of mine a OnePlus 7T that I had, and he needed a new device, and there's no updates on that plus past like Android 11, and they don't care. That's the other thing. You have some consumers that just don't care about software updates. So companies are really in this struggle of they need to add new hardware to get some people to upgrade because the software changes and the features they use are just so basic. They're going to call, they're going to text, they're going to take photos. And so if I can add and improve the experience of, you know, text going through faster, being able to text a multitude of people and secure, and being able to um, send high quality photos and videos, and being able to do the basic tasks that they need to, maybe improvements with some of the antennas so that they get better speeds while they're out and about, and efficiency for better battery life. But those are like day-to-day task things that all of us do. And so really people are okay with not really having to upgrade as often. People are okay with software not really changing much because what has really changed software-wise with most, even with Android, it hasn't changed a ton in the last few years. It's been mainly like, oh, it's bigger icons now, and um, sometimes it's even fewer apps across, and some features have changed, and you got quick share, which is just like a new name for um, what's already been there. And so a lot of it is marketing and restructuring and renaming some of these things. And so, that's crazy to me. I'd like to take a minute to say hi to Sean, the Ish9, Shark FinTech, iBonnie, um, Renz, anybody who's coming upon this in the live stream. If you're new to my channel, of course, check out my content if you'd like it. It'd be awesome if you'd subscribe, and of course, let the conversation roll. Hey, Delvon, decided to go live. I was sitting there and just thinking about some things, and nobody's live, and it's been a while, so I gave some updates on what's been going on with me and just talking about tech. So, speaking of OnePlus, and speaking of Samsung and Apple and these minor upgrades, be interesting to see once the people who have gotten the OnePlus 11 in hands will how they'll feel. And I feel like the real issue is comparison. I wish that people would stop comparing and being like, well, Samsung offers this or other company or Pixel offers this. Like, focus on what's unique about the product and why somebody should buy that, not why they shouldn't because some other company offers something different. Like, um, if I go to buy a car and I'm at a Buick dealership, like, I'm there to buy a Buick. Like, I already know what product I'm looking for. If I've searched for a review, I already know, like, you're reviewing a OnePlus 11. Don't half review other products at the same time. That's something that bothers me, and I wish people would do less of it. Don't like recommend another product because of your bias, whether it's iPhone, Samsung, Pixel, LG, Motorola, Sony, whatever. I wish that more focus was on the content that I'm coming to watch. I don't know if I'm alone in this. I have a feeling that a lot of people get thrown off when they go to watch a OnePlus video and it turns into a Samsung or an iPhone video. It's okay to do comparisons. It's okay to do specific, like, camera to camera comparisons, because it allows somebody who maybe they're just used to using an iPhone or used to using a Samsung device and they see, oh, OnePlus has launched a new device. I haven't really heard of them, but, my buddy got a OnePlus and talks about it, and he likes how smooth the OS is, or he likes the volume rocker, or he likes um, the display, or he likes this and that, or whatever it is. So, explaining what makes that device unique as opposed to what makes it similar to other companies is something that I would really, 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 really like to see people focus on? What makes it stand out? If I'm going in front of a group of people and my pitch is, this is why you should hire me, let's say, this is why you should hire me to write tech content for your website. I'm not going to then say, well, I write this, I write better than Dale Vaughn or Sean or the Ish or, you know, I write better than such and such. I'm going to say that I have a unique perspective on content as somebody who enjoys looking at tech from a perspective of day to day use in everyone's life. From someone who sits down, interviews, and gets perspectives from the typical user and doesn't focus on niche. And my benefit as a writer for you would be that I am marketing that content in that blog or that website to a broader range of users so that it benefits more people and they can learn without being complicated, simplifying terms and appreciating technology for its unique experience and each tool, no matter the company that creates it. Like that right there separates. And to me, when I'm looking for content and I'm watching content, the thing that stands out to me when I found new creators is the perspective of like, this is what it can do, or this is what the photos look like, or this is the issues I found, but here's how you can fix them. Teach me, allow me to benefit from your knowledge, but also to comprehend what makes that product stand out. Why does it have, why does the Vivo X90 Pro Plus having a larger 1-inch sensor and um, having the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, those like don't tell me about the specs, but why do the why? How does that benefit the user? How does that distinguish it? What do they do that provides a unique benefit if I am going to buy that product? Don't be an ad, but sell me on what benefits I would get. I wish more content was focused on the idea of how the tool benefits me rather than look what I can do or here's my day and look what I did. Like those are cool and it's very beneficial for the battery aspect of things. Like, I love the day in the life content as far as understanding, okay, this is the tasks that these people are doing with it, and this is the end result, and here's some photos they took in low light, and here's the battery life. But, like, I don't care what you had to eat or where you went out or what kind of coffee you had. Like, I'm not there for a vlog. And so that's where I wish that a higher focus and a higher appreciation for what some of those people do. And that's what I really appreciate with the community of people that I focus on. And even things like understanding what sets the creator apart and what makes them unique and why they provide a different mindset to me than any other. If I'm watching case videos, like, does it scratch easily? Are the buttons nice and clicky? Um, does it yellow? Does it cause the device to overheat? Like, what do you do? And how can I learn from you and understand, like, okay, oh, this is nice looking. Like, why should I trust your word? Like, I don't care if you have 100,000 subscribers, 80,000 subscribers. I don't care if you have 2 subscribers, like, I don't care the numbers. I know this is sounding a little ranty, but I feel like a lot of us feel this way, and so my drive is to not only create better content for myself, but ask others to do the same, and ask companies to do the same, and to really appeal for those people that just won't step up and say, like, this is what they want, and it's just discussion. I love discussing things and giving my opinion and my mindset and getting other people's opinions and mindsets, and I I I can appreciate those people that do the things that I don't necessarily want because obviously there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that watch content that does just that. But at the same time, like, um, the idea of I really just hope that Samsung's event, they really focus on their own thing and not about like, oh, we have RCS and, I wish Apple would do it. And then, or we have, a 100 megapixel camera or 200 megapixel camera in this now, and you can zoom all the way in. Okay, show me how that matters. If you have an action mode, show me the stabilization. If you've improved shutter speed, prove it. I think we need to make companies more, um, force these companies to appeal to us and to prove things rather than just taking them by their word because, um, yeah, we may trust them, but there's a lot of research that goes into things. And I'm somebody that likes understanding and likes seeing the proof. The proof is in the pudding when it comes to why should I buy your product? Why should I watch your content? Why should I care? Why should I buy a device from you rather than from a company that I've already been? Or why should I upgrade? Or why should I use that feature? Why should anybody use that feature? Why should I buy a device that has DeX? Why should I buy a device that has 120 hertz refresh rate? Why should I buy a device that has support for 45-watt charging? Does it make it charge faster? Why do I need it to charge faster? Is there some reason? Like, does your battery die so fast that it's a benefit? Or does your battery last really long, but it's also nice for some of us who are forgetful? Like, show somebody that's busy and they get home after a long day from work and they take off their shoes and they pull off their tie and they throw it down and they lay down in bed and they wake up and they're hitting their alarm and hitting snooze and all of a sudden they hit that last snooze and they hop up real quick and they get cleaned up and they grab their phone and they go, oh shoot, it's almost dead now, I gotta go in 15 minutes, and they plug the thing in and it's charged up to 50% in 15 minutes. They run out the door and they grab a car charger that's also fast and they plug it in and they plug it in for 20 minutes. They get to their office and the phone is charged. They've been using it for GPS on the way there. Like, show me why those features fucking matter. Like, really. Normally I don't swear, but like, show me. Make me excited about features. Even if they've been around for a long time, even if I've known about them, show me why. If you have a 200 megapixel sensor, and let's say you're going to crop that in, or you're going to pixel bin to 40 megapixels, or maybe put 10 pixels together and have a 20 megapixel image and you're going to bin them together, or you're going to allow them to act almost like bigger pixels. What does that result do differently than what's offered in the past? Not by other companies, because most of the users, I guarantee, are probably already using your product and going to upgrade, or they're already upset with the product that they have and they're looking to change. You're not going to influence somebody to change who doesn't already want to. Imagine you're in a relationship with somebody, how bad it would look if you were to go to that person and say, I want you to do this differently, rather than if they say to you, um, what things do you like about me? And I know that I have a bad temper. Can you help me with that? Stating somebody's flaws does not help you and does not build you up. And it doesn't not inspire and influence somebody to come to you. So these companies, I feel like, need to do the same thing. They need to really focus on their benefits rather than trying to put other companies down. They need to look at unique perspective. So when I think about my experiences and I think about when I'm talking about technology, I like to hopefully do the same thing for you guys and to think a little bit differently about the perspective and think about like not just coming to you guys as a creator or as a dad or as somebody who stays at home and takes care of my son, because not everybody does that. I focus on those things because those are experience that I know, but then I like to speak in generalities because my goal is to hopefully benefit you guys no matter if we have match experience or slightly different experiences or slightly different opinions or slightly different biases, because we all have a bias. Some of us will admit it, some of us won't, and that's okay. And for me, when it comes down to it, what I'm most excited to see this year from companies is to see if they've learned, to see about marketing, to see what their pitch is, to see if they'll finally be kind of honest, because there's some mistruths, some, I won't say lies, but kind of companies are have been a little bit dishonest about what they offer, about, ease of access, about certain features and how important they are. I wish that companies would just come out and really just show what sets them apart. When I think about somebody like Michael Phelps, who's a swimmer, he's not going to necessarily look at the people next to him and their style. He's going to look at, okay, what's my current swimming style and what can I do to like move my arms differently or cut my hands differently, or how I push myself in when I dive to improve my speed so I can get to that other wall at the other end of the pool faster than anybody else. And he's going to look at times and he's going to understand what the other people's times that are there. But he's not going to necessarily look at them and be like, what's their technique? Because his body structure is different. His breathing is different. His training is different. His knowledge, his experience. And I think all of us can learn from that. If somebody's a runner, it's the same thing. Like, they just need to know the time that they need to beat. And then they perfect their own techniques and skills to do such things. And so rather than being like, "Oh, I need to be better than the competition," it's also, "I need to be better than I was before." So, self-improvement is just that. And so, when I think about technology and I think about what I use, I think to kinda round this conversation about is what are features that are missing that I feel like other people should could and should benefit from? What are things that are not being talked about that are exist? If I'm Samsung or Apple or Sony or OnePlus or LG or whatever companies that are coming out with smartphones, that are coming out with washers, dryers, refrigerators, TVs, monitors, what are features that are truly beneficial versus features that are gimmicks? And what are things like that the everyday user can benefit from? Samsung added the S Pen feature, the ability to use an S Pen to the Fold. But what does that mean? What does that look like? It's cool, it's an accessory, but where does that benefit? Um, to me, I've had this experience recently. I was having to sign my name on some insurance work, and I was trying to use my finger, but it was weird. So I just grabbed my S Pen and was able to sign my signature and have it look like my actual signature. I opened up my Fold and I did that on there, and then it saves it, and then I just tap in the areas where I need to do my signature, and then where I had to initial, I did the initials, did the same thing. All of us have car insurance if we drive. All of us sign documents. All of us do certain things that says, okay, this is what's cool. This is where it benefits. Are you an artist? Oh, we have this feature. Are you a musician? Oh, we have microphones that record audio really well, and um, we've perfected noise cancellation, or we've perfected echo cancellation with our microphones in our laptop, or we've made it where audio can be recorded from all around a smartphone. And so while we've added 3D sound or spatial audio to our newest earbuds, you can create it now. And why does that matter? Well, have you ever wanted to have it where you have a conversation with somebody and it sounds like it's on two sides of you? Have you ever wanted to be able to interview two people and you can just have them sit on each side of you and then it records right in? Do you enjoy sitting down with your kid and teaching them new things and being able to have their voice and your voice recorded and have it be clear? Well, our smartphone will provide this best experience, or our laptop will provide a unique experience. To me, that really is the driving force behind why I enjoy technology and discussions so much. And I feel like many of my viewers and many of you guys, I feel like you all probably appreciate technology for what you really understand. And like, do you like photography? So maybe that's why you are looking for something other than the companies that are typically offered. And you start looking at the Sony and the Sony um, one Mark IV, or the Sony Pro I, or a Sony A1 camera, Alpha 1, or a Canon R5 or R6, or a Nikon Z series camera, or maybe you're somebody who wants the portability and wants to understand, can I connect a regular microphone into this? And so you need something that's got a decent sized battery and has a USB-C, or you need to know the right dongle or adapter to connect it into your iPhone because you want to use your iPhone to record video, or GarageBand on your iPad, and want to know what you can do. So yeah, you can connect up an audio interface that's USB-C to USB-C, and you can get full XLR input, and you can have multiple inputs, and you can connect up a guitar, connect two microphones, maybe one that's better for vocals and one that's better for instrumentals and record drum footage, or you can connect up a keyboard and record from that and then record drums and put a drum pad and then you can, rap your lyrics over it or you can sing along with it or you can do covers. Like, I think that there's a greater appreciation in creating and appreciating the arts because those are things that transcend culture and things that transcend language. And so for me, when I think about where I kind of want to head with content, it's these discussions. And if you haven't seen my video, go check out one of my recent videos about like what does technology mean to me. Um, and I'm gonna actually I'll tell you the exact title right now. Meaning, what does technology mean to me, and also ethics in technology. And coming up, I will be talking about technology and education and my experience with it, but also how I feel like many of us out there can benefit from using our technology to become further educated, and how improvements in cellular internet, data access has allowed many of us to learn skills or learn about certain subjects that maybe we weren't interested in school, and as you get older, you're interested in, or you're in school, but you have a topic that your school won't teach to you. So these are things that I feel like really matter to many of us. Health, access to health, video conferencing to a doctor for those of us who have discomforts with going into a doctor's office. Many of us I know during the pandemic kind of became used to being at home. There's people that just deal with vasovagal syncope, white cone syndrome, where it's hard for them to go into a doctor's office or to be in groups. It makes people anxious. Technology has benefited me by being able to have a conversation with my doctor when I don't need to go in. I don't need him to check my blood pressure, my pulse, look in my nose and my ears, on my throat. I just need to be able to have a conversation. Some of us that deal with anxiety, being able to just video chat with a family member or a friend. Um, Maybe you're worried about a family member and you need to check in on them. Being able to hit a button and have it ring up on their phone or on their phone or tablet or computer or whatever it is, and being able to appreciate the experience that that provides is something I feel like is greatly unique. So I will leave you with that. Thanks to everybody who came by in the live stream. If you are here for the replay crew, don't forget hashtag replay crew down below. And also let me know how technology has benefited you and what unique perspectives and experiences that have driven you to use certain technologies. If there's a topic you'd like me to discuss, of course, let me know in the comments down below. Give it a big thumbs up if you're new. Obviously, I would appreciate if you would subscribe, trying to, break that 1,000 mark and keep things going and always provide a great and unique experience to you. As always, my name is Michael Pepper of Michael Pepper Tech. I don't only talk tech, I live it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next live stream. Don't forget to come back here Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Ike from Talk, Ike's Tech Talk. And we'll be discussing the Samsung Unpacked event. It's sure to be a great one. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening and a great week. Peace and love.